This day and time. What happened today, years ago?
Okay, let's dive into this. We've received a stack of sources, articles, notes, research, all focused on a single week in history, June 2nd through June 8th. It's packed with key moments and pioneer achievements spanning centuries.
And the range is just incredible, isn't it? We're talking about the very first times humans thought about leaving the ground, foundational moments in nation building.
Right.
Reaching for the moon, navigating periods of deep social strain, breakthroughs in cultural and religious barriers, right up to the speed of, well, the digital age.
Yeah, quite a mix. So our mission here is to sift through these sources, pull out the really important insights, and maybe connect the dots between these seemingly unrelated events from this one week.
See how they link together.
Exactly. And what's the relevance for you today? Think of it as a kind of quick tour of human ingenuity and change packed into 7 days across time.
Right. And we'll probably see common threads running through the material that drive to explore the unknown, the impact of individual vision.
Persistence, too.
Oh, absolutely. The sheer persistence required to do something new.
Okay, so let's jump back. Late 18th century, the sources highlight some true beginnings here.
Yeah, we're looking at the dawn of aviation and the very idea of American independence taking shape, almost side by side in the calendar week.
So first up, the Montgolfier brothers.
That's right. The material really zeroes in on June 4th, 1783, their first public demonstration, hot air balloon flight in Annonay, France.
And it was made from pretty basic stuff, right? Sackcloth and paper.
Yeah. And they generated the lift just by burning straw and wool underneath.
Simple, but effective. According to the sources, this just immediately ignited a massive balloon craze across Europe.
And it's rightly considered the true start of the aviation era.
What's interesting, though, is that their science wasn't quite right.
No, that's fascinating, and the notes underscore this. Their initial scientific understanding was actually a bit off. They thought the lift came from some kind of special smoky gas.
Not just hot air.
Right. But the sources show that their practical success, this undeniable proof that flight was possible, well, it was so powerful it pushed others to investigate the actual physics.
Wow.
So it led to faster understanding. It's a great example of how sometimes achieving the what can unlock the why.
That makes sense. Okay, shifting across the Atlantic now, just a few years later, the sources bring us to June 1776. Continental Congress.
Yeah, wrestling with that huge question, independence from Great Britain.
And the specific date the sources highlight.
June 7th, 1776. That's when Richard Henry Lee of Virginia introduced his famous resolution.
It wasn't just one idea, though, was it? It was like a plan.
Exactly. A clear three-part plan. Formally declare independence, seek alliances with foreign powers crucial, and outline a plan for a confederation among the states.
But it wasn't just waved through. The sources detail that it sparked intense debate.
Oh, definitely. While it wasn't adopted that day, the very act of proposing it, debating it, that was a critical step.
It was debated and eventually passed on July 2nd, right? Which set the stage for July 4th.
Precisely. The material really emphasizes this as the essential procedural prelude. The steps needed before the Declaration of Independence could be formally adopted.
Yeah, it shows that even the most revolutionary changes, well, they often follow a process. There are steps, debates.
Specific moments.
Okay, moving forward. Mid-20th century now, the sources pivot from founding documents and early flight to, well, humanity reaching for the stars.
Right. And also, tragically, deep social fault lines back here on Earth. Quite the contrast.
So space first. The material brings us to June 2nd, 1966, Surveyor 1.
America's first successful soft landing on the moon.
And why was this so crucial? Especially thinking ahead to Apollo.
Well, the sources explain its main purpose was really proof of concept. Could the U.S. actually design and execute a controlled landing on the lunar surface?
Just finding out if it was possible.
Exactly. Wow. Surveyor 1 answered that with a resounding yes. It confirmed the surface could support a lander. It returned over 11,000 images and gathered vital data on temperature, radar reflectivity. The material notes that while the Soviets had Luna 9 land earlier,
right, they were first.
They were, but Surveyor 1 was technologically superior, provided significantly more data, and really solidified that confidence needed for the Apollo program.
Got it. But then, as you said, the contrast. Just 2 years later, same week in June, A moment of profound national trauma, Robert F. Kennedy's assassination.
Yeah. The notes remind us Kennedy was a leading candidate for president. He was running on a platform pushing for significant social reform.
And he just won big, hadn't he?
He had just won the California primary on June 4th, 1968. A major victory.
Again, early hours of June 5th, he was shot.
The sources identify Sirhan as the convicted assassin, citing his opposition to Kennedy's support for Israel as a motive.
And the impact.
Well, the material highlights how this event didn't just remove a major political figure. It came at such a deeply tumultuous time in American history: civil rights struggles, anti-war protests, other assassinations.
Yeah, a really difficult period.
So the sources state it just profoundly deepened the existing divisions, that sense of loss within the nation. It really underscores how moments of incredible ambition, like reaching the moon, can coexist with periods of immense fragility and tragedy.
Okay, shifting gears again. The sources move us into the later 20th century now, breaking significant barriers, creating cultural phenomena.
Right. On June 3rd, 1972, the material points to Sally Prieson's ordination, the first female rabbi in North America.
That was undeniably a landmark event, shattering a major barrier in religious leadership that stood for, well, centuries.
And the sources mention she faced considerable opposition, institutional hurdles.
Not easy, I imagine.
No, but her persistence was key. And what the notes emphasize is that her pioneering step wasn't just personal. It actively paved the way for countless other women to pursue leadership roles, not just in Judaism, but in other faith traditions too.
So, broader impact.
Definitely. Contributing significantly to both religious life and, social justice movements, it's a powerful illustration of how individual courage can initiate systemic change.
Absolutely. And then kind of a stark contrast, but also a moment of significant creation. The sources take us to June 6th, 1984. Tetris. Alexei Pajitnov created Tetris.
Born in the Soviet Union, this deceptively simple falling block puzzle game.
Deceptively simple is right.
The sources trace its journey, becoming this global phenomenon, transcending borders, political systems, right during the height of the Cold War.
It's amazing, isn't it, how a single, elegant idea developed in one context can just become universally recognized.
The notes even reference that psychological thing, the Tetris effect.
Oh yeah, where you keep seeing the blocks?
Exactly, where prolonged play can influence your thoughts and mental imagery even after you stop playing. Its enduring legacy on gaming, pop culture, even cognitive science is just undeniable.
It's more than a game, it's an icon.
Truly.
Okay, finally, the sources bring us right to the threshold of the mobile era we live in today, the announcement of the iPhone 3GS.
That was June 8th, 2009, and the name itself, as material points out, signaled its main focus, S for speed.
And it delivered, right, significantly boosting performance compared to the earlier models.
Oh, yeah. The sources highlight improvements like a much better camera with video recording, which was a big deal then.
Right, video was key.
And the introduction of voice control, sort of paving the way for the assistance we have now.
And the context then, it was a crowded market.
Very. The sources placed this launch firmly within a fiercely competitive mobile landscape. You had the Palm Pre, various BlackBerry models, early Android phones, all vying for dominance.
But the 3GS was pivotal. Why specifically?
Well, according to the material, it wasn't just about the features, though they helped. It solidified the iPhone's user experience, reinforced Apple's rapidly growing ecosystem, the App Store and all that.
The ecosystem.
And really cemented its leading role in accelerating the smartphone's evolution into the central device it is for so many of us today. It felt maybe like a natural upgrade at the time, but looking back through these sources, you really see its foundational impact on the mobile world we now inhabit.
It's quite something, seeing these moments laid out side by side in one specific week across centuries. You really do begin to see the underlying patterns and connections the sources reveal.
Definitely.
I mean, we've journeyed from humans taking their very first tentative lifts off the ground in hot air balloons to the fundamental debates that forged a nation.
To touching the surface of the moon.
Exactly. And we've seen moments of immense social pain and division, alongside individuals breaking barriers in ancient institutions, the birth of truly global cultural touchstones like Tetris.
And the acceleration of the digital revolution in our pockets with the iPhone.
Yeah. And the materials isn't just presenting a list of dates, is it? It consistently points to these enduring human drives and capabilities.
That innate desire to explore the unknown, the incredible power of individual vision coupled with sheer persistence.
The courage it takes.
Right. The courage to forge new paths and the foresight needed to imagine and build what hasn't existed before.
And these aren't just dusty historical facts. The sources make it clear how these moments continue to shape and inform our world today.
They powerfully illustrate that constant dynamic interaction between technology, society, and culture that drives human progress and change. It's always interacting.
So understanding these specific milestones, it helps us gain perspective on how we arrived where we are now.
Exactly. And the material suggests, kind of in its conclusion, that these historical insights provide a valuable lens, a way to better understand and maybe even influence the future.
So maybe the thought to leave listeners with is this. When you reflect on this single week, scattered across centuries, covering everything from flight and nationhood to lunar landings and mobile phones, what connections do you see?
Yeah. How do those echoes of exploration, courage, and persistence resonate with the challenges or opportunities that feel most
Thanks
pressing
for watching.
right now?
Like,
Really does.
subscribe, and ring that bell for more history daily.